If you know anything about Common Azure and Elden Ring, you know that it's absolutely busted, but it has a Dark Souls 3 counterpart that not a lot of people know about. Soulstream takes 45 intelligence and uses half our current FP. With high requirements, you think it'd shred everyone, right? But it only does about 600 damage to the first boss, which is disappointing, and that's with steady champ. Without it, it only does about 300. Gundyr himself doesn't turn out to be an issue, but an omen for this run. Heading into Firelink, we book it to the right, and do the tree jump for a free Estus, and the Silver Serpent Ring, which we'll need. We then take on the Swordmaster, who can't even make it to us before we get a soul stream off. And we fire a couple more to take him out. We then go and lead the Crystal Lizard off this cliff, and level up. We prioritize endurance because we want our soul stream to last as long as possible. Testing it out, it turns out that soul stream fires once and can't be extended. Oh, did I mention who we were playing as? We're playing as GOKU. And with that, we head to Highwall. Most of you watching aren't subscribed. Consider supporting my growth by sharing the video, or subscribing. Both are a great way to help me make this more than a hobby. I also have a Discord. Consider joining to interact with me in the community. Sorry about that. Back to the video. Up in Highwall, we don't have any FP to waste fighting enemies, so it's mostly a quick run through this area. We do take out this Lothric Knight though, just so he won't follow us to the bonfire. We get demolished grabbing the Estus in Highwall, and grab the banner from Emma, before taking on our next boss, who came from the void? Well, if there's one thing Vort tends to do, it's slowly walk towards you, which works in our advantage for 2 hits in Phase 1, and a 3rd in Phase 2, leading to an easy victory. And while we're heading to the settlement, you may be thinking, this run looks easy. Where's the challenge? That's what's coming up. Here's challenge number 1. How do you kill these dogs? They move around a lot, and will almost always hit you out of your attack. The answer is pure luck. And after giving up on the rest of them, we move forward to the first bonfire here, and after strategically killing as many enemies per soul stream as we can, we get another Estus shard. We also grab our Covenant, grab an Undead Bone Shard further in, and unlock a quick shortcut to our first hard boss. Trying our attack on the Greatwood, after a super long charge, we miss. And that's the same theme for all of our attempts we did, whether we actually made it to Phase 2 and whiffed, or just failed to aim. We opted to come back to this boss later. For now, we have a much easier demon to kill, with some help. And this demon isn't gonna last long. And even though our friend is literally just standing around, we killed this demon. And with that, that's part of our armor gotten. And we may have failed to kill Leonhard and cheated in his helmet until we got it normally later. We run through the Road of Sacrifices next, grab the Grass Crest Shield, Sage's Ring, which I'll talk more about later, and make it to the Heretic Staff, which consumes more stamina, but does more damage with our current spell buff. And now, let's see how much of a roadblock we have ahead. 370 damage with Steady Chant leaves a lot to be desired. We continue to spam the Sage down, taking lots of unnecessary damage. And, after taking a hit we definitely shouldn't have, we're forced to give it another go. This time, with the same strategy of no strategy, we make it to Phase 2. Forget the issue of finding the Sage. Our issue here is landing a hit on the Sage. Where in the world are we going to find a safe spot to cast? We try, but fail. And, with the Rage Quit, I put this challenge down for an entire 2 months. When I pick it back up again, we've lost our helmet. And go to grab that. During the 2-month break on this challenge, I'd forgot literally everything I'd done so far. And so when Leonhard died, we noticed we forgot to grab the shard in the row to sacrifices. And at Andre, we give ourselves 2 heals and 6 Ashen Estus. And after seemingly not learning from our break, we devise a plan. While the Sage has a homing soul mass above her head, she will not retreat, but she will get stunned. And if you're far enough away from her, the soul mass also won't target you. And while we die here, this is a good proof of concept for this strategy. And so the next time she soul masses, we spam her down and make it to phase 2. We don't have a plan for phase 2 yet though, and it leads to our death. Phase 2 is when we switch from being slow to being quick. The longer we wait, the more time the Sage and her clones have to hit us. So, phase 2 is more about finding that one spot where you can see the Sage, but her and her clones cannot. And, once we find that spot, we win this fight. We then buy the tower key, and get the last piece of our armor set. And after heading into the cathedral, we grab another undead bone shard, further increasing our damage output. And with some friendly fire, we kill this giant, and make it to the deacons. The deacons seem to be a pain to any challenge run, and I expected this run to be no different. But it turns out, we shred the entire lineup of deacons with every soul stream. And once phase 2 comes along, we get to spam the main one down for an easy twist on this unusually hard fight. For some reason, we're back in Highwall next, and it turns out we're here to kill Dancer. For the charge time, damage is once again disappointing. We seem to take way too many hits at first, and are completely out of Estus by the time phase 2 comes around. But Dancer can take a while to recover, and so we're able to capitalize. And we barely kill Dancer for a first try win. We level up with the massive amount of souls we just got, and head to go clean up the settlement. With our newfound experience, we quickly hone in on the Greatwood's weak spot in phase 1, and do it many times in phase 2, all resulting in an eventual win for us. Heading down to Farron Keep, we do the usual of putting out the fires and grabbing the undead bone shard. We also head up to where the stray demon is and zone him out. And with that, because we're not forgetting anything, we've made it to the Abyss Watchers. The Lord of Cinder, like the Abyss Watchers, aren't going to let us get in hits willy-nilly, and hits don't even stagger the boss, leading to our damage being more of a trade type thing. We have the third Watcher finish off phase 1, and prepare for phase 2. And well, for all that buildup, phase 2 goes out with a dud. And after speedrunning the catacombs, we're on track to beat this area in record time. And with entry into Wolnir's arena, and the near instant shattering of his bracelets, this fight is a joke. And after taking out another demon, we're gathering large Titanite in the Smoldering Lake, as well as the Estus upgrades here, and before long, we're to the boss of this area, who doesn't deal with range very well. and even when he tries to make us move, we're too elevated to care. And we stagger him, which is a shock, considering I couldn't even stagger the Abyss Watchers. And after a short 30 seconds of blasting, he goes down for good. We enter Irithyll running, and keep that up all the way to the first bonfire. We take out this guy for an undead bone shard, and head to the distant manor. We go ahead to the dungeon, where we grab the bellowing Dragoncrest ring. We continue further into the dungeon, killing rats, and eventually making it to the profane capital, where we grab our main staff for the rest of the run, the Court Sorcerer's Staff. We instantly upgrade it to +6, and take on Yorm. We get about one good hit on Yorm's head this entire fight, because he's too busy moving it around. And 15 minutes later when we die, it's clear we're not ready for this fight yet. So, we run through the rest of Irithyll, and make it to Pontiff. And because he's so easy to parry, we do our share of damage. And when Phase 2 comes around, that's tons of free damage too. We then pick up the Magic Clutch Ring, and head over to Yorm again. With the Magic Clutch Ring, even missed attacks do some damage. And when attacks do hit, they do a lot of damage. And we even stagger Yorm for some huge damage on top of our regular. We basically repeat this for another 15 minutes and kill Yorm. We then have our third Lord of Cinder, and Aldrich is magic resistant, so we're gonna have to play this one pretty well. And while we did play well, we kept getting our life stolen, stalling out the fight, and leading to our death. Getting a hit off on Aldrich isn't too much of a challenge because he takes so long to recover. We have to hide away from the arrows every so often, and eventually take him down, for the easiest Lord of Cinder of the run. Now, into Lothar Castle, we head down to the Consumed King's Garden, and to our next boss.
You ignorant slaves. Finally taken notice, have you? Well, I will not give him up.
Osiris kindly lets us start this fight with him at 2/3 health. And from there, it's just about getting relatively lucky with his attacks and delays. That's what you want to hear in a skill-based game, right? Getting lucky? Well, it's how we're going to have to make it work. We almost fail to make it work, and Osiris seems to think we died, letting us get the kill. We run back through the tutorial area, or wait, the Untethered Graves, and jump scare our next boss. And that jump scare will be needed, because even with parries, this guy is fast, and he recovers before we can even get a hit off. Luckily for us, just this one time, he was a little slow, leading to another luck-based victory. And with that, we're right off to Archdragon Peak, to round out the optional bosses on this run. We're on to the boss I usually don't bother with, but on this run, I might as well. It just takes a while. And hey, after a cutscene or two, we're on to the boss foreshadowed for 3 games himself, the King of the Storm. Oh, sorry, the Nameless King. We start off the fight with a complimentary damage trade, and I'd say I'm losing in that regard. But we just have to not take damage, and that's fine. With how much the Nameless King dramatically walks into me though, we get a ton of free damage. But if he's not walking at us from far away, he's too quick to really punish. And we spend a ton of time waiting for him to do a punishable attack. But when he distances himself, that's our opportunity. And with his dramaticism, he goes down with it. Damn it, that would have been running through the fire in Lothric. We're up to our last remotely possible boss. Dragon Slayer armor is easy. Or well, easy compared to everything upcoming. But when he gets stunned in 1 or 2 soul streams, he can't really withstand us. And that leads to our last easy victory. Why so much buildup? Well, it's time I show you why. The amount of optimization and trouble we're about to go through. Well, I'll just let you see.
Oh dear. Another dogged contender. Welcome, unkindled one, purloiner of cinders. Mind you, the mantle of Lord interests me none. The fire-linking curse, the legacy of lords, let it all fade into nothing. You've done quite enough. Now have your rest.
That was only like 10% of the footage, by the way. We respec back to normal because we respec our health to none since we didn't need it. Then, we make it into the DLC. We break a bridge and climb down it to get to our next boss. Brave Tender likes to dodge our attacks and block them, but we just spam him down for it to not be an issue. And after he's dead, the fight's over. And after a shit ton more running, where we pull a few levers, we're to the most drawn-out boss in the Souls trilogy. Frida is the first 3-phase boss on this run. Phase 1 for us consists of spamming. Phase 2 consists of ranging out the big, slow target. And Phase 3 is just running around for an attack that we can get in, about once every 3 minutes. It's extremely slow and boring. But with one last attack, we can trade with her for a victory. And onto the ring sit. We have a boss rush of 4. First up is the Demon Prince. This boss is usually pretty strict about when you can get damage in. And now is no different, except that we get lots of damage in, leading to this fight being a little slower, but overall easy, for a surprising first try. Next up on that boss rush, we take down Midir on the bridge and drop down to him. Midir is known for being a pretty agile boss. He moves around a lot, and if you want to do any damage, you have to aim for the head. So our general strategy is to fire blindly before an attack ends. and hope by the time we cast, he's not moving around too much. And, whether it's my intuition or just pure luck, the boss I expected to be the hardest was pretty easy. Half-Light is, well, half-baked. And we have another boss. But there's literally nothing I can say. I'm sorry. Here we go again. And now, with one boss left to kill, we get to work. The Soulless Cinder is no match for most of the bosses we fought up to now. And as is the case with every boss we fought, we push him into his second phase, and then we kill him. And with that, it's time to link the flame.